Hello everybody. I haven't been talking to you for a while, so at the beginning let me just thank you all for subscribing. We're growing slowly. It almost feels like a group therapy or some kind. I also love to thank Gujeli for these beautiful flowers. They're gorgeous, and Patrick for my lovely new scarf. I can practically open a shop with scarves, but that's a bit of something to amuse you with. The subject today of my talk is about lying, various forms of lying, and lying as an obstacle to heavenly moments. What I mean by heavenly moments is the utter harmony between two souls. Honesty is of essence with the harmony of two souls. Honesty is the essence for friendship. Honesty is the essence for relationship with God, with our soul. The dreams always are honest, even if we're not. So I'd like you to quote a few things at the beginning so we can start with this honesty subject. There is a lovely Yiddish proverb which goes like that: a half truth is a whole lie. Nietzsche once said, the most common source of lie is that by which a man deceives himself. The deception of others is relatively rare offense. That is, if you are a narcissist or a sociopath. Somebody once said about politics, because of course that's a very interesting subject, politics and lying. A consummate politicians didn't lie and don't lie, but neither tell the truth. There is also a very interesting quote which I find in Anatole France, a totally different quote, it's quite amusing, and I put that to you for your information and for your pleasure. Anatole France said, without lies, humanity would perish of despair and boredom. Just for you as a kind of another side of the necessity of lying. So there are lies and lies as it happens. Homer, my favorite Greek classic writer, once said, I detest the man who hides one thing in the depth of his heart and speaks forth another. And that's probably one of the most common form of lying. It can be connected to fear, to shame, to manipulation, to not knowing, to the denial, as we will explore the denial as one of the most fantastic form of lie, unknown to addicts, and explore in 12 steps movements. As I always say, and quote after Oliver Holmes, sin has many tools, but a lie is in the hand which fits them all. It's something which is therefore very serious offense. And yet, why is it so common? We are living in the times of lying galore. We are living in times when practically everybody somehow confuses us. Maybe because of COVID, maybe because of other issues, manipulations of monumental scale, which are frightening, and we are confused. And for the human psyche, to be confused is not very good. We are not doing well when we are confused. We got psychologically disturbed. So this, sometimes people say, well, I make a mistake, or I didn't know. Of course, there is an unconscious, as Jewish people would put it, sin and conscious sin. And Yom Kippur is about that. To look at our sins in the sense of mistakes, and maybe sins of a grave sin, like lying. I always say to myself and to everybody who know me and my patient, that being innocent is, dishonest is not as innocent mistake as we think, because of course people who come to me, and all therapists know that would be excusing themselves and using all form of lying to themselves, or to therapists, or to me, or to wives, or husband, or business colleagues. So dishonesty as a form of lie is deliberate act of deception, and that's conscious, and that's quite killer for a heavenly moments between us. Heavenly moments where you feel safe, received, respected, loved, cherished. When you know you can be yourself without anything else added to it. In other words, when we listen to our consciousness, when we know how to love, when we know how to create, because chaos is natural, deception is natural, conning is natural. Hence, the heavenly moments are so indeed heavenly that we feel so well when we experience that. So, of course, various forms of lying are explored by many people, mystics, therapists, philosophers, literature. And I think one of the worst form of lying is lying to oneself. And it's that what I said denial is. I always say to people, especially compulsive liars, of course they quickly run away from me, that the liar will not be believed even if they say the truth. So I stress that with people. Please remember that once you lied to your wife or to your husband, it would now be difficult for them, because trust is of essence in a relationship of any kind, and especially intimate relationship between husband and wife, between partners, between friends, between people. So even if we then speak the truth, nobody will believe us. So that would kill the heavenly moment. That will wipe it out. Even Oscar Wilde said, and Homer, and many Dostoevsky, Nietzsche, many other great minds, that the most, I think, deceptive lie is the lying for oneself. And our using, our running away, passive aggressive, which really not knowing even how we feel, it's a form of lie. The form of lie is also a lying when we withdraw parts of ourselves from a relationship. It's quite a confusing form of lying, because the other partner doesn't know. Because we feel psychically, we experience energetically each other, that is a difficult and unnerving for partners. This is why I love children, because they are the greatest psychologists, of course. And children don't lie. Small babies lie. If you watch them and you remember, if you have children, that they can look at you and quarrel with you. No, who did break the cup? I didn't. Mommy, I didn't. I tell you, I didn't. Who threw the cat's foot on the floor? No, it wasn't me. Yeah, it's very comical, but that's obviously in our nature to lie, because when you observe children, you can see it. And then, of course, when they grow up, we teach them that lying is probably not the best hobby to have. And of course, lying for our own sake, it's the conscious lying, the Machiavellian lying, as Dr. Grande would put it. He describes form of lying very well, and I will quote him in a while. Because it's lying to get something out of another human being. That is quite evil. And as God says, I am who I am, and evil in the spiritual language says, well, I don't exist. Evil as such essentially is based on lie. So if we have that kind of intention, it is evil. It's quite satanic. There is no way that we can feel safe with someone who lies or who withdraws the truth, or someone who waits 20 years, 15 years, 10 years to tell you the truth and then blames you for it. That's also very, very common amongst us. And that disturbs human relationship. And it is not very good. if we look at various aspects of lie, I think the most confident lies are narcissistic character disorder, sociopaths or psychopaths. In essence, they lie. They lie because they want to manipulate, because they want to get something out of us. We were now witnessing a tremendous, dangerous situation with our royal family and Prince Harry and his dear wife, because they are already displaying to us, withdrawing the truths, lying, distorting the truths, bewildering. For someone who is not really a con man, it's very difficult to get that. For someone who doesn't lie, it's very difficult until you experience. For someone who is not manipulator, it's very difficult because, in a sense, people who are reasonably decent are quite naive. So for a shark, like a good narcissistic compulsive liar, it's easy peasy to eat us alive. The avoidance lying, another form of lying, is a sort of more self-deceptive. Avoidance in a relationship, based, maybe connected to anxiety. I myself had many form of liars around me personally, and was like a child, though I am a quite old girl, bewildered by it for a long time, most of my life. But if you look at media, or if you took fake news at the moment, we are plagued with fake news. What is good, what is fake? You have to have strong head on your shoulder to really come through this chaos and maze of absolute horror of lying. Sometimes we lie through compliance. Sometimes we lie because we don't know how to be honest, because we traumatize. I mean, basically unconscious kind of lie. We withdraw information for the sake of peace, and we drive partners completely mad. With our dear Harry and Meghan, this is a very complicated, and in a sense, if you really know a bit of psychology or a bit of yourself, you will very quickly recognize how extraordinary, arrogant, and dangerous this pair is in relationship to, so to speak, a family of origin, our beloved Queen and our beloved royal family. It is shocking. I watched that with extraordinary disbelief, really. And Lady C, who doesn't mince her words, and I'm absolutely enamored with Lady C's video, said it also. I don't need to really repeat that, but I trust that at least one of them, possibly Harry, will wake up one day and see what this covert narcissist or social climber or compulsive liars are all about. It was enough for me to watch Oprah to know how Meghan lied with straight face, and that is enough for me to answer, to take that liberty to talk about it. Sometimes we lie because we want to look better than the rest of, to impress social climbers, build a kind of persona which is far removed from essence. The energy goes into that. I think, to my mind, the most dangerous liars is a compulsive liar, because compulsive liars believe their truth, that the lies are truth. We sometimes say white lies, we sometimes say it because we don't want to upset people, whatever. Those are normal lies, which, if I can say that lies can be normal, but the compulsive liar is the most dangerous. You never know what they will think of. They will kill any possibility of heavenly moments, any possibility of peace, any possibility of trust, basically. Lie wipes out trust, that for sure. And once the trust goes, very difficult, say, in a relationship to repair it. All addicts lie, maybe most profound addiction which is based on so much lie is a sex addiction, yeah? Because how do you say to a wife, you know, hold on a moment with the dinner, I just popped next door and I should be back in an hour. It's a very, very, very powerful addiction, very difficult to conquer, and very much corresponds with lies. All addicts, most of the time, addiction by itself is based on lie, on denial. When I look at Harry and Meghan, I can sense and see with Meghan this arrogance and belief system that she delusional, really, that she's better than the rest of the world, better than the Queen of England. Our beloved Queen is, of course, only 95, and an extraordinary woman whom one can only bow to, and a woman who survived and experienced so much and is so wise. And Meghan, of course, in her delusional thinking and arrogance and narcissism, believes that probably a queen should apologize to her after all. So when she said in the opera that they had this wedding, you know, in the grounds of cottage, I knew that I am facing a compulsive liar. These people like to improve their self-image, and if that means that we have to lie, we will lie. Sometimes they concoct such a magnificent stories that it absolutely gives you headache. Withdrawing the truth, of course, for the sake of whatever, it's lying. When I love Leo Tolstoy, and that also applies to Meghan and Harry and many stars who pay themselves God knows what amount of monopoly money. Leo Tolstoy once said, "But every acquisition that is disproportional to the labor spent on it is dishonest." So if you think about that, so many dishonest people around us, it's a joke, except that it's a dangerous joke. They laughing into our face. Yeah, what they whisper, yeah, selling your family, it's almost a form of cannibalism, as I would put it, just for the cash. You have to decide for which side of the moral fiber you are, which side of the fence. And that is, of course, applies to many of our politicians, not to mention any of them, or American politicians. In the relationship, of course, lies kills relationship. If you don't have honest relationship, simply cannot go on. The heavenly moments, which we really can't produce in among us, would not be possible. The heart will close. You withdraw. And most of people, you see, as I always say, it's the heart is closed, and that we just go through as if it is a script. You see, we learn that from films or books and things, and then we just behave as if it is a rehearsed play. I always say to people and myself, never ever argue with the liar, because the liar will exhaust you so much, you will collapse, and never mind that you will not be able to compromise or create anything. You will be finished. And also, if they lie once, I experienced that in my life, in my marriage, and many other situations, without realizing when I was younger that if someone lies, they will lie again and again and again. And no amount of word they'll produce that they are actually going to be now different would make us slightest different. I always say, God says I am who I am, and the devil says, what are you talking about? I don't exist. It's all your imagination. I always say, you produce many words. They can be very beautiful, wonderful, especially covert, passive-aggressive narcissists. I experienced recently this extraordinary human being, very chatterbox, talkative, charming, who, as I said, a narcissist with the rosary in his hand. But my goodness, his action was slightly different to what his words were all about. A liar is really the worst enemy to the truth. But I always say the enemy to the liar is someone with a good memory. They don't like that because you can remind them. It's nothing is for a liar is innocent. I always say listen to the words for a moment and then look at action. What's going on? Because if the words don't add up, it's usually because there's dishonesty in it, and I always say the better to be slapped by someone who is a truth teller than kissed by the liar. And I had in my personal life a phenomenal liar who, so to speak, kissed me a lot for many years and disturbed my personal life and the family greatly. Michael Montague once said, lying is hateful and a curse vice. We have no other tie upon one another but our words. If we did not discover the horror and the consequences of it, if we did discover, we should pursue it, as he said, with a fire. We should see the lie as one of the greatest criminal offense and act accordingly and pursue it with the fire and the sword, and more justly than the other crimes. Isn't that extraordinary?